The Lord be with you. A passage from the Gospel of St. Luke. Jesus said to his disciples, "A rich man had a steward who was reported to him for squandering his property. He summoned him and said, 'What is this I hear about you? Prepare a full account of your stewardship, because you can no longer be my steward.' The steward said to himself, 'What shall I do now that my master is taking the position of steward away from me? I am not strong enough to dig, and I am ashamed to beg. I know what I shall do, so that when I am removed from stewardship, they will welcome me into their homes.' He called in his master's debtors one by one. To the first he said, 'How much do you owe my master?' He replied, 100 measures of olive oil. He said to him, 'Here is a promissory note. Sit down and quickly write one for 50. Then to another he said, 'And you, how much do you owe?' He replied, 100 cores of wheat. He said to him, 'Here is your promissory note. Write one for 80. And the master commented that the dishonest steward had acted prudently. For the children of this world are more prudent in dealing with their own generation than the children of light.' This is the good news of our salvation. Perhaps as a background for what Jesus is trying to teach us is a passage from the Gospel of St. Matthew, where Jesus tells his disciples that everything he has comes from the Father. No one knows the Son but the Father, and no one knows the Father but the Son, and those to whom the Son wishes to reveal him. And we know, therefore, that Jesus saw the giftedness of everything we have in this world. So each one of us is a steward, having our own time, talent, and treasure, but these we did not earn. These were gifts from God. And how we should use those gifts were seen by Jesus. He did not use them for his own ambition, his own success, his own gathering of wealth or power. They were to be used for others. Now, some commentators say in this passage that Jesus was talking to his disciples about his own future. And his own future would be very mysterious and not follow the way of the world. He was on his way to Jerusalem. This would be the culminating journey of his ministry and mission, in which his disciples would have to go through a terrible experience of watching their master, their ideal, their hope that they thought would become the ruler of the world, crucified on Calvary, beaten, rejected, hated. And then what would they do? Would they continue to believe in him when they saw what he had to undergo as a steward? And so what Jesus is telling us, and this person who was trying to look to the future to save himself when he would be fired from his job, and not just give up and go into the corner, that he would use the means available to be a good steward in his own regard. That he wanted his disciples to have the same commitment to use their stewardship when they were dejected and rejected, when Jesus went through his cross, his passion. The commitment was total and did not depend upon their succeeding in the human level. This was what St. Luke wanted the Christians of his community to see. He was living in a time where he realized what happened to St. Paul, who was a good steward. But St. Paul dedicated himself to Jesus far more creatively and shrewdly than this steward, this dishonest steward who was caught in his injustice, his criminal behavior. Paul was committed to Jesus, not to be discouraged when things did not go humanly the way he expected. So Luke wanted his readers, including ourselves, to realize that in our own lives, Jesus comes first and doesn't depend upon whether he makes our life more comfortable, more wealthy, more ambitious, but that our relationship with him is total and dependent upon whether we can love him with an open heart as much as he loves us with his open heart, which took him through his passion and death and ended in hope in his resurrection and his final destiny. So as we reflect on this example of the dishonest steward who mismanaged his master's capital, we can ask ourselves again the question that St. Luke wants us constantly to have in the forefront of our minds and hearts. What place does our personal friendship and commitment to Jesus play in our ordinary lives? It should be central and foundational. Not our human success, but our love